I'm Rocky Parrish of ROCKDEEP LLC, otherwise known as ROCKDEEP. I am the CEO and president and founder of ROCKDEEP. Correct. So we do ads from time to time just to let people know who don't usually know us. We'll actually even pick the option of, hey, pick subscribers that are like yourself, or not like yourself, like the followers that you already have, to kind of give you a wider breadth of people to reach. So when we have a new release, we might do something if it's in the budget. But to go back to where we started, I mean, where I started was as a kid, just having a passion for sneakers, being poor, not being able to even have them myself. You know, I wore Bobos as a child, and I've told the story a million times. We as a people are conditioned to like what we can't have, and we aspire to have it. And once we get it, we overdo it, and we get as many as we can because, you know, our passion is our passion, and we can't help what our passion is. But, you know, I couldn't draw when I was little. I couldn't do any of that. So it was something that I really didn't pursue as a child. And 40-something years later, it became my business. So in between, you know, childhood till now, I've worked in government contracts. I've done television and radio. I've run my own management consulting and marketing business. But this was something that I knew was always my passion. And I've consulted for Nike and Jordan. And I wanted to ride off into the sunset doing something I really, really loved as my passion. Obviously, there's a lot of things in the middle of all of that, but I basically still built stacks to get to this point. Meaning when I did television and radio, which I never expected to do, I started laying the foundation by just dropping the term rock deep. When we started doing parties, it was rock deep. And, you know, it was something that started from when I played football. I was slow, but I could catch. And whenever I was open downfield, excuse my language, I won't say it, but they'd be like, yo, that ninja rock is deep. And so they would just chant rock deep. And so for me, you know, in marketing, you learn that you need to be inspired by things, creativity, you're creative, and everything must have a story. So for me, Rock Deep had a big attachment to me. You know, my name is Rocky, but Rock Deep was part of that story. So I thought that would be a fitting name for the company.
Where are you guys based out of, and how long have you been making shoes? And talk about that process.
Sure. So I was born in Mississippi, Vicksburg, Mississippi, but my parents were military. So my father's from DC, my mother's from Mississippi. And I've basically grown up in the Washington, DC area. Delray, Virginia, where, you know, we weren't well to do it all. And then later my parents moved to Oxon Hill, Maryland, in PG County. And, you know, this footwear game is not for the meek. You must have a passion for it to be involved in it. And, you know, we do a lot of mentoring, but how I got into it, you know, at this point was saying, you know, taking my background and my experience from working with guys at Nike and Jordan and working with factories, I found a company. Well, I started doing my own thing, and I started knocking on doors, and everybody was turning me down, saying, "Oh, well, we love your stuff, but we'd have to take like Nike or Jordan or Adidas down to put your stuff up." Them not knowing I had been in the business, so they were feeding me BS. But for me, I just decided, you know, I'm going to keep trekking. So I actually found this business. I found this company online. They were a Chinese company called Racks. And I reached out and I said, hey, you know, do you guys, I see that you guys have a great product, but it was hiking stuff. And I'd never really delved into hiking before, but I wanted to help them with their designs and, you know, how to make the product better. Well, they only sold overseas and they were still struggling as a company. So I wanted to show my worth by doing work for free. Now, everybody's skeptical. Why are you doing this for free? Well, I'm trying, and I was transparent. I'm trying to run my own business, trying to do things, and I need to get more of experience, because you can work at Nike and Jordan all you want, but when you run your own business, it's completely different. I mean, the process is everything, you know, that you don't see just doing one thing. You have to do everything. So eventually, I asked for equity, and then eventually I just bought the Racks brand and wrapped it under Rock Deep as the outdoor and hiking brand. And I have an athletic brand called Alpha. I also have a hunting brand called Huntsman. So the company is mine under Rock Deep, but I actually utilize, and you won't find this, even Nike and Jordan and Adidas and Under Armour, no one owns their factories. They all contract them out. I actually have equity in my factory, so that if we make other people's shoes, if we make, you know, whatever, I get residuals from that.
I don't know if there are that many, you know, Black-owned sneaker or shoe companies out there. I mean, it has to be a small group.
It is Comparatively, there's a small group. I mean, we're all independents, and I don't really know what takes you, because I have over 150 styles, and you know, this in 2021 we'll come out with anywhere from 75 to 100 more styles, not just colorways but styles. But there are others like Saya Collective. His name's Devlin Braswell. I think he's out of New York but lives in California. There's another company, I think they do dress shoes, called Nagash. And there's a lot of many ones. And there's some people who use like Chinese brands. And when I say Chinese brands, they're selling basically knockoffs and putting their logo on it. And that's cool if you can make money of it, because I know they do. But then there's those companies, there's black individuals who use a company called Alive Shoes, where basically they charge $250, but the individual only gets $30 to $40 of that. And while everyone has to start somewhere, that's kind of what got me to mentoring folks, because I tell those people, like, look, I understand you have to start somewhere, but you're hustling backwards if you're selling someone else's shoes where you're just helping out with the colors and you're reselling it basically for $250, $300, but you only get $30 or $40 of that. Let me help you keep most of your profit other than making someone else all that money. So that really got me into helping and mentoring people and actually offering up my factory as a resource to those folks, because, you know, people always say, isn't that a conflict of interest? And I tell people, no. If there's a Nike, a Reebok, Adidas, Under Armour, and Puma, why can't there be a Rock Deep, a Psy Collective, a Nagash, and all those kind of things? Because, you know, the table's big enough for us all to eat at.
Has it been tough, you know, getting people to take a look at your shoes and say, hey, you know, I'm not Nike, I'm not Adidas, but check out what I got?
Correct. So it is, but it is the way that you, well, for me personally, so being a black man, being about my people, and really doing a lot for my community, whatever I can do, it was difficult at first to get buy-in from our people, because we set the trends, right? And what I didn't want is, because I tell people out of transparency, if it weren't for people who hiked and white folks in general, you know, we had black people who support us, but not as a collective group. But the white demographic is what kept us afloat until I can get more and more of us singing. Because when people pass by, they'll be like, yo, those are nice. But then they're like, is that, you know, and it's disheartening, but not, you know, I don't really get too emotional, because, you know, people critique, people have their own opinions, because everything's not for everybody. But when I see my own people look and be like, oh, that ain't Nike, that ain't Reebok, that speaks more to their parenting, I mean, their upbringing, where they're not being explained to them that, you know, black ownership means a lot. It's not just about Nike and Adidas and Reebok, because we shouldn't wait till something's cool to want to grab onto it. We should be always the ones who want to trend set and set the tone for everything. And what I didn't want, which, you know, if it happens, it happens. But what I know I really didn't want, I didn't want the white kids at school to be the ones rocking it so hard, and the black kids be like, yo, what's that? Those are tight. And the white kids be the one that trend set. You know, if it happens, it happens, because money is money. But for me, it's more of, I want to show black and brown girls that we can do anything, not just be rappers, not just be, you know, athletes. We can do anything that we set our minds to. And, you know, I want to set that precedent. We started out online because, you know, capital and things of that nature, but we eventually opened up 4 stores in the Washington, D.C. area. All of them are presently closed. We just didn't reopen anything up, because I'm not one of those that wants to take a chance. When we open back up and when we do things like, we're not going to open as many stores out of our own ownership, but we are going to franchise. And I've always had that in mind, because I wanted us to have ownership in something like this. I wanted us to be able to have, because those other big brands, they're not going to give you that opportunity to have ownership. So,
are your shoes also sold in like other stores, like the Foot Locker, the Foot Action, any of those? So
not as of yet. I'm working on some things behind the scenes, because for a while, once we got our own stores up, because my whole thing was, if no one else wanted to carry us, we'll carry ourselves. And that's why we opened stores up. But and there's a benefit in that. You don't split your profit with anyone. Now you do get more exposure, and my new plan is to kind of strategically place different shoes without giving one store a lot. Give them something so that people will like, well, what's this? I've never heard of this brand before. And then they'll come to our website, because, you know, Nike has pulled a lot of their accounts from mom and pop stores and from some of the bigger stores. So those stores didn't have foresight on thinking, well, what do we do if Nike pulls our accounts? And now those folks are calling us, some of them anyway, but others are shutting their doors. And if you're shuttering your doors because one person took their account away, then you really didn't have innovative or forward-thinking people at your company.
The sneaker industry, despite us being in a pandemic and dealing with, you know, a bad economy and stuff, I mean, it's still booming. Like, sneakers are big business.
Yes, because people need people need shoes or always need shoes. And, you know, I know one of my independent brothers, I'll call him. We don't know each other personally, but we do know each other and support each other, Devlin Braswell. He does a hell of a job. He sells out. When he has a release, he sells out every single day. And I you know, for me, people don't understand why I support and shout out other brands. And it's because if I could do something to give as much exposure to someone else, I'm not expecting it in return, but I'm going to do that because that just means one of us are and he hasn't even been doing it as long as I have, but he's successful in doing it. He's been on, I think, Charlemagne, The Breakfast Club, and, you know, that probably helped him along in his cause. But the thing is, he's doing it. And it's kudos to him because now he's able to show people this can be done, and you don't need those bigger brands to push you. Because people ask me all the time, would I ever do a collaboration with Nike? No. Why? Because I don't want them taking credit for me being successful. Now, people can call me brash, cocky, arrogant. I'm none of those things. I'm confident. But the thing is, when I tell people Nike is not my competitor, Adidas is not my competitor, Under Armour certainly isn't my competitor. I make quality products that either meet or exceed what they're doing, but for a great price. But above all that, my competitor is me from the day before being better than myself. It can sound corny, it can sound whatever, but I am only competing against my last product, my last project, my last creation. Because if I have to worry about what everybody else is doing, I'm not gonna be able to focus on what I'm doing. And what I'm doing, I know is different from what they're doing. I've been inside those doors, so I know what they can and can't do. I know the red tape that's involved. I don't have red tape. I can either say, yes, I'm gonna do it, or no, I'm not gonna do it, and I push on. And this, like you said, for me being involved in so many things growing up to this point now, as far as careers, I would tell anybody in any industry, don't worry about what anyone else is doing and stop considering them as they're your cohorts in the industry. They're not your competition, because people will, if they see something they like, they will buy it. Point blank. Now, you're going to have to sell some people more than you will others, but let the product sell itself. If you have to over talk something to talk people into it, your product probably isn't all that great. When we had stores, I told my sales folks, do not sell people shoes. Just ask them what they're looking for and let them try it on. Once they try it on, the shoe will sell itself.
Do you have a favorite shoe? Is there one? I know you might say all of them, but is there one that you like better than the others? Or
people ask that question all the time, and I tell them, you know, I got 7 kids, and I say it's like saying who's your cutest or who's your favorite. Now, it's my daughter, my youngest daughter, but that's not, you know, here and there. But I mean, you know, I take pride in all my shoes. There's best sellers that we have, you know, like the OG Wolf. I just happen to have it in this is like one of our highest selling shoes that I've ever made, more than just 1,500 pairs of. It's a pure hiking shoe, but people use it for work. People use it for softball now, you know, just because of the traction. But we do everything from athletic, hiking. Some people have started using our trail running shoes for golf because they're breathable. They have the same type of dimple outsole. So, I mean, I can't say that I have a all and out favorite, because I always look forward to the, like I work on probably, like right now, I'm working on 50 different designs at a time. All of those, I work feverishly to get them out because it excites me, because I'm a sneakerhead. And as a sneakerhead, everyone knows when you get a shoebox, when you order something, the anticipation is receiving it. When you open up the box, you're like, woo! And then it's over, and it's on to the next one. For me, it's the exact same thing on the other side of the table, where I make something, I wait for it to be fully produced, and I'm excited about it, but then I'm on to the next. I still appreciate everything I've done, but the appreciation I get that maintains longer is seeing other people wear what I've created.
Definitely appreciate you talking to me. Shout out your info. How can people find you? They want to buy shoes. How can they find you? What are your sites?
Sure. So you can check us out on ROCKDEEP GLOBAL on Twitter and Instagram. I'm still trying to get Instagram to give us our name back, ROCKDEEP. You can look us up on Facebook under ROCKDEEP, facebook.com/ROCKDEEP. And just go to our website. We do have apps on the Google and Apple Play stores. We just launched that 7 or 8 days ago. It makes the consumer experience a lot more enjoyable. We're actually overhauling our website, www.rockdeep.com. If you're on the desktop, it is a great experience from the desktop, but from the phone, definitely download our app.